Talk Shows family, is Namsa here at Ngozi Talk Shows. Find your own voice, lead from within. With me today, I have Carol Ann Cooper with me. How are you, Carol Ann?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. It's a nice, bright, sunny day here in London.
I
So
know
nice and bright and cheerful.
yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. So, with regards to today's topic, Carol Ann, I know you chose this topic.
Mhm.
And can you explain to our audience why you chose this topic?
Um, yeah, it's because I saw a quote which intrigued me and thought it would be really great to explore. And that was, those who cannot acknowledge themselves will eventually fail. And I was like, oh, really? I was like, oh, okay. So I thought, yeah, let's have a look at that and see how we can work around it and why would that be so? And what is it about acknowledging yourself that actually helps you to succeed? Considering we were talking about success the other day, maybe this is another avenue to being able to create success for yourself and achieve your goals. So that's where it came from. You're
Am
muted.
I? I am
Okay,
muted. Yeah,
you
that's
were.
amazing. It's a good topic actually because you have to actually acknowledge yourself no matter where you are in life. And when you say eventually you will fail, that is actually true because if you don't acknowledge yourself and you don't acknowledge the journey where you are, the journey of your life, and you can't find something to be grateful of about yourself. And that means eventually you are going to fail because we get rewarded for what we do because we are acknowledging where we are, we acknowledge ourselves, we are grateful for the life that we have. And in order for you to have more blessings, God or the universe or the earth, you want you to actually accept those little blessings that you have. So if you don't see yourself developing and you don't see yourself moving forward, and maybe problems enters your life, and that problem, and then you forget everything, the journey of your life, and you start focusing on that problems. Can you see yourself moving forward? No, you can't because you're being pulled down. So when you're being pulled down, you have to say, you know what? I thank you problems, but I'm good. I'm good to go. Just looking at your life and evaluating your life, I think is very, very, very important.
Mm. It
What
is
do you
important.
think, Carol
Yeah.
Ann?
Well, it's important to acknowledge yourself because by acknowledging and celebrating yourself, continually or more often than you do, it actually physically alters your brain so that your brain will then notice more and more um, evidence about your success and your capabilities, because it'll start to go, oh, is that so? And so it will look for those evidence and it will help then to support what you're saying about yourself. So it becomes that perpetual cycle, because it's the reverse is true. If you're constantly putting yourself down or criticizing yourself, you are always looking for evidence, because it's like you have to prove yourself right. So in proving yourself right, you're creating a cycle. I'm not good enough, I can't do that, and I'm a failure. You'll look for that evidence. Whereas I did well with that. I actually achieved what I set out to do, and acknowledge what you've done. Acknowledge yourself for being persistent and seeing it through. And then it was like, oh, where else have I been persistent and seen something through? And so you get that positive cycle of reinforcement. And it's recognizing, where do we wait for others to notice what we've done, or we're looking for that reinforcement from outside. It's much more powerful if we can reinforce ourselves. And doing that on a daily basis actually helps push you beyond someone else's version or thoughts of you. It helps you to then move forward, because you think, oh, I've done that. What else can I do? Oh, I've done that. Yeah, okay. And it makes you feel valued, and it also gives you that motivation to keep going, and it improves your performance. So constantly keep acknowledging, no matter where you are, what's happening. And there is a quote by Lisa M. Hayes that I found. It says, be careful how you are talking to yourself, because you are listening. And I think that's the key. How you're talking to yourself, you listen. So acknowledge what you're doing. That's why it's important. And I think that's something we need to look at before you start looking into how to acknowledge yourself. Understand why it's important to actually acknowledge yourself. Because if you can understand that, then we can start looking at, well, how can I do that? How can I shift my way of being and my lifestyle such that acknowledgement becomes a part of it? So what about you? Why do you think it's important to acknowledge yourself, Nomsa?
I actually love it, Carol Ann, that what you're saying, that we need to actually recognize the things that we do ourselves instead of wanting people to actually affirm, and we need to reinforce that habit of acknowledging our everyday life. I think that is amazing. And for me, I just believe that, there is a lot of talk these days about self-awareness and what it means and why is it important and how to develop it. There are so many coaches. Whenever you scroll on YouTube, you go on Instagram, you go on Twitter, you go on Facebook, we should be able to get that in our head that is important because it's everywhere. But we don't. But what does it actually mean to acknowledge ourselves? According to some experts, it means it's the first step to the road of self-improvement, and also self-awareness allows us to actually to see ourselves as we are. Like if I actually look at myself and start look within, and I will just realize who I am, what is all, who I am, what I can do, and having understanding of my own motivations and my own behavior and my own identity, and having understanding of having the knowledge of how important it is to make my own decision as well, because sometimes we want people to affirm. When we make a decision, we want to go and ask other people. We don't really, there's this fear, am I doing the right thing? So if you understand who you are and your decisions and trust your decisions, act according with your own value and grow into your own unique personality, I think that is really, really amazing. And also acknowledge yourself as well. We have to understand that it does not mean that we have to like everything about ourselves. It's okay to actually criticize yourself a little bit, and then you have to criticize yourself by looking within and say, you know what, I don't like this about myself, so I'm going to make a little bit of some changes in my life, and willing to look at yourself objectively and acknowledge the good and the bad that about yourself. That's what I do myself, that I just look at myself, and if there are any bad habit that I have, I just work on it. Because I can't wait for people to tell me how good I am, and I can't wait for people to actually affirm my destination. So all I do is I just look at myself, and also I know that I'm not perfect. And when you're aware that you are not perfect, you are actually growing each and every day. We learn and we make mistakes. We learn from our mistakes. So it is very, very important to actually live your life with self-awareness. And if you don't, you will fail eventually. It's like we are here at Ngozi Talk Shows. So we have to acknowledge our journey. If we don't acknowledge our journey, who we are and where we are going, if we go without a vision, then that means eventually Ngozi Talk Show will fail. But if we know our vision and we know where we are going, we're not going to fail. We're going to keep going. And that's what we've been doing. Keep going.
Keep going. That's right. It's
Yes.
keep going, keep going, keep going.
Yes.
And acknowledging those
Yeah.
those steps of success.
And that was really nice to be acknowledged by YouTube as well. Whenever there is a problem, we just talk to them, and it's just so nice. Makes you feel at home as well.
Makes you feel valued.
Yeah, it makes, yeah.
I think that's the key. It makes you feel valued, and that what you have to offer is of value, and it's recognized as such. And so it's valuable to them, and they want to support you in that.
Yeah.
And I think that's the key. So it is about helping you to feel valued and what you're doing is valuable. Well, the only person that can do that for you is yourself.
Yeah.
Because if you can't do it for yourself, you won't hear what other people say. It's like you sort of switch off it. You don't actually believe what they're saying, or it's really difficult to accept the acknowledgement. And actually self-acknowledgement is, the meaning of it is that it's known and openly stated by oneself as being such. So if you're saying, I am a failure, I'm no good, I'm stupid, then it is a statement. And that is a statement of self-acknowledgement. And that actually, as I say, gets reinforced, and you will become a failure because you can't succeed with those thoughts going on and that level of put down and criticism. Whereas if you say, well, I persisted, I sought help, I didn't achieve what I set out to, but I have learned from it, and I know how to move forward. You know, it's shifting it. It's acknowledging what is so. The fact was, okay, so you didn't get to where you wanted to, but you've learned from it. You found people that can support you. You're willing to keep going and persist at it, and then just keep monitoring your journey. And so that's much more positive and valuing you and how you are and what you're doing, and helps to motivate you and keep you going. Because actually, if you don't succeed in achieving what you want to do, it's not that you are a failure. All that's happened is you have failed to achieve what you set out to do. So it's recognizing, again, come back to language, shift your language. I'm not a failure. All that's happened is I have failed to achieve what I set out to do. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to achieve it, because I haven't done it as yet. I am great at evaluating it and finding new ways of moving forward with it. I will succeed. I am persistent. You know, things like that. Just put those positive spins on it, and helps you to keep going. I'm a willing learner. I'm open to new suggestions. You know, and acknowledge that. I acknowledge myself for being open to listening to new suggestions and taking new paths. And this is something that I think it's important that people recognize when being acknowledged by someone else, how comfortable do you feel with those acknowledgements? Because if you don't feel comfortable with it, then you're not going to be able to acknowledge yourself. And this is something I learned with a company called Landmark, who do personal development training. And I assisted with them for a number of years. And they're really hot on acknowledging people for what they have contributed, what they've done. And they also have that expectation that you ask for acknowledgement. I never did. And I never felt comfortable. I would just get on with what my role, do what I was meant to do, and then I'd sneak out and I'd go. And I used to get told off a few times, no, you need to go and ask for acknowledgement for what you've done, because you've provided a space for people to learn in. You've created an amazing space. And it took me a while to actually have that confidence to go in and say, I'd like to be acknowledged for, and specify. It's okay to actually specify what you'd like to be acknowledged for. And then to hear that acknowledgement back and accept it. And I did get more comfortable at accepting acknowledgement. And it's like, oh, okay, this doesn't feel too bad. And it does make you feel valued, because I realized that where I was just doing what I was there to do and then sliding off, I didn't feel valued. And it wasn't till I started hearing their acknowledgements and asking for acknowledgement did I start to feel valued and start to feel, oh, I enjoy this. And you can see it, can't you? Your energy lifts. You're happier, you're more motivated to keep going. So recognize where you're not comfortable with accepting acknowledgement, and also about asking for acknowledgement. And know it's okay to ask to be acknowledged. And then start acknowledging, ask to yourself, say to yourself, I'd like to be acknowledged for this. And acknowledge yourself. That's a great step to do. I just suddenly thought of that as we were talking. I think that's something I'll take on board. I will start asking myself to acknowledge myself. What do you think, Nomsa?
That's powerful. That's really powerful, Carol Ann. I will start asking myself to acknowledge myself. That is really, that's really good. And also acknowledging yourself is most like self-acceptance, and is one of the most important things you can learn in life. Like when you say before, you felt uncomfortable. And I think we all do that sometimes, even when people are giving us compliment. Some people, they feel very, very uncomfortable to actually say, oh, thank you, when someone is simply giving you a compliment. So it's very, very important, because acknowledging yourself is self-acceptance also is the key to happiness and success. When you acknowledge the things that you've done, and it's something, it can be really, really difficult to achieve. So I'd like to know, Carol Ann, how did you achieve it? I'm sure the audience will really, really, how do you achieve that place where you are in a energy place where when somebody is, when you are doing things, you acknowledge, you feel happy, and you actually even write in your diary and acknowledging how happy you are. So how did you get there? How did you achieve it?
How have I achieved where I've got to with it? There's still another level to go to. And yes, I'm more comfortable with it. It was recognizing my discomfort at it and doing something about that. And so I would do either some tapping or some brain gym or some meditation around being comfortable accepting acknowledgement and just being present to it. Because as you said, sometimes people will just attempt to bat it away. You're acknowledging somebody for what they've done and they go, oh, well, no, ain't that good, really. I've now got comfortable with saying, stop, just listen to the acknowledgement and take it. And so that's what I started doing to myself. It was like, stop, listen to those voices that are batting it away. Stop and listen to what's being said and accept it. And it does become easier. As I said, do some tapping, some brain gym or some meditation around being able to accept the acknowledgement. And then being able to ask for it, again, is another step, because you then have to acknowledge or recognize what is it that's worth acknowledging. And it's like, oh, okay, so what is worth acknowledging? What is it I've done that I'd like to be acknowledged for? And I had to do quite a bit of soul searching and thinking around that, and to then being able to ask. So again, it was going in, working on what the blocks were to being able to speak out and ask and recognize, well, actually, I think that the thing is actually acknowledging. It's that self-acknowledgement in the beginning, because you have to acknowledge to yourself, well, you've done a great job there. I turned up on time. If that's, something that's important to you to be acknowledged for, say so. I was on time. I was early. I got prepared. I had the doors for the seminar open on time. I'd like to be acknowledged for that, because maybe that's something you struggled with. Other times it's been like, oh, I've been a bit late doing that. Or, just so start acknowledging to yourself what the successes are and what you'd like to be acknowledged for. So it is, as you say, it's that self-awareness. You need to become aware of what you'd like to be acknowledged for. What do you feel would actually make you feel valued? Because sometimes someone can acknowledge you for something, but it's not something that you actually value. And it's important to recognize that it is of value to them and take it on board. But if you still don't feel acknowledged or valued, you need to go in and say, well, what is it I need to hear that would actually help me feel valued? And I remember doing that once, having the courage. It's having the courage to speak out. And I found my voice for once, instead of just letting it go and feeling a little bit, I wasn't accepted, I wasn't acknowledged there, I wasn't valued. I actually spoke out and said, I don't feel that I was acknowledged, because it felt like it was just a blanket acknowledgement. And the response I got showed that they'd heard what I said and actually specifically acknowledged me and explained that it did include me in what they were saying. It was just how they'd done it that time. And it was like, oh, I realized that that was their way of doing it. So it helps you to then understand how other people, what it is, how they do it and what they value. So it's understanding what you value and would like to be acknowledged for, but also recognizing what other people value and will acknowledge you for, because that could be something that you don't actually value. It's like, really? It doesn't mean anything to me, but to somebody else, it was important. So again, it's that awareness is key to everything. It really is, what's of value to them, what's of value to you. Finding your voice and recognizing what inside you stops you, and just do some work on it. So that's what's helped me to around this whole thing of being acknowledged and acknowledging myself. And I know that actually self-acknowledgement, there's another level for me to go to with that. So again, it's still work in progress. It's not a case that we get there, we get somewhere with it, and then it's like, it's ask yourself, well, is there another level I could do with this? Because maybe there's something else you haven't quite achieved that you set out to do. Well, is there some acknowledgement that you could do of how far you have got with it, and or that would motivate you to then move that forward? Just a thought. What do you think? What do you think?
I love that, Carol Ann, that you're saying that you have to acknowledge yourself and also understand that we are work in progress. I think that is very, very, very important, because some people want things to be perfect. When they are acknowledging themselves and that self-acceptance, they want everything to be just so good, in a way that even if they are talented, they end up questioning themselves, that think that they are not good enough, or I am not good enough, or even if they do feel good about themselves, they don't feel happy, or if they may be plagued by negative thoughts and feelings, and they may never feel truly content. There are some people that when you look at them, you're like, wow, this person is so beautiful, or they're so good looking, or men, but when you start actually talking to them, they they're still in that place where they are overcoming. They don't understand the keys of overcoming challenges to learn to accept yourself for who they really are. And I think if you understand that I'm a work in progress, I'm not perfect, but I understand who I am, and I'm proud of where I've been, and the mistakes that I've made. They're not really mistakes. I've learned from those things from my past, because we can't just be perfect without learning something. And every failure that we have had, there is something good that we've learned about our past. And also meditation, like you say, you do when things are not good, or you don't feel too good, you do brain gym exercises. And for me, I pray, I meditate. So you got to have something that some sort of belief or some sort of ritual that you can do to actually get to where you need to be. You don't have to be happy all the time, but you can just be in that place where you enjoy every moment of your life, even if your life is covered with cloud of sadness, and just enjoy it. And you also you don't have to be content with your current situation. You just have to strive with growth of improvement, and just be that person that is serious to achieve, and you accept your life. And if it means restarting or regrouping, let it be. And that's how we accept ourselves, and acknowledging that the part of ourselves is loved and appreciated, and accepting your flaws as well. I think is very, very important. You'll be happier. I'm a happy person myself, and it's not that I don't get sad. I do get sad sometimes, but at the same time, I have to realize that I have so much to live for, and I have so much that I have achieved in my life, and you just have to be in a place where you are like, you know what, God, whatever will be. And for me, it's like surrendering my life to that high power and saying, you know, God, Show me any hidden secret about me. I accept my life for what it is, but I know I could be better. I know I could do more in my life. Like you said, words are very, very important. Using words and framing them as well is very, very important. So if I don't feel like, okay, if I feel like doubting something, I have to like go within. Why is there doubt? Why am I doubting myself? It's like with the work that we do, my business, and having this on YouTube and working with Facebook, I just realized Facebook will just put the content that is sexually and nudity that is not acceptable with the community. This video actually that we are broadcasting. So Facebook always do that to me sometimes. So I just have to argue with them and say, listen, just go to the video and there's no sexual nudity and stuff. But if it was like before, I would just be wind up and stuff. I don't get wind up anymore. And there was a guy that was asking me at work the other day in the office. He says, no, sir, you're always happy. And you're not faking it. You're real. And I was like, I've learned the hard way to be happy. I was like, I meditate, I pray, I look after myself. Whatever I want to achieve, if it doesn't come at the right time, I don't get wind up. I just speak to God and say, you know what, God, it's taking too long. Is it something that I've done or something that my parents have done? Or is there a generational curse that is holding me back? So I just have to have that communication of real communication using my beliefs. And that helps me to become the person that I want to become. And also, I just ask God to show me anything inside of me that can help me moving forward. Or is there anything that, like mindset wise, just ask him to actually help me with my mind so I can have a mind of growth. My mind can grow or connect me with people that can help me. I just say it as it is. I don't criticize myself. I just say it as it is. If I'm like going through something, I just say it as it is. And I find that way I get help from God's angels that I need because I'm very, very specific. And if I feel that moment that I'm not enough, I just feel that I just have to ask God to forgive me and just move forward. And I look at myself. I never talk in front of the mirror anyway because I find it really funny. But I love laughing. I do laughing yoga every Friday. It's good for healing as well. So I just have to acknowledge Carol Anne that yeah, I'm in this part, this life that it's not perfect, but it's good enough. And if I want more, ask for more.
Ask for more. So it's good. Rather than it's good enough, it's good. And it's not perfect, but what is perfect? What is perfection? And maybe it's perfect in its own imperfections. You know, it's playing around with words. And as I say, not making it wrong. It is what it is. It's acknowledging where you're at. And you're happy. You can laugh at the situation. And yes, you can cry. There are times when crying is needed. It's your body's way of releasing emotion. And as somebody once said to me, tears are tiny jewels of healing. And I was like, wow, what a beautiful thought, you know? And so allowing yourself to release those emotions is important, because if you don't, if you stop yourself from crying, if you stop yourself from expressing your emotion, you see that tension that's there, it actually creates illness in the body because you're creating stress. And so by releasing and allowing that emotion out, allowing yourself to cry, if you need to. Your body's saying, I mean, there's sometimes I just feel like crying and I just cry, and it's like, okay, where's this suddenly come from? Then I just let it happen, and then it disappears, and it's like, okay, I can move on. And it's like something just needed expression in that moment, something needed releasing and healing. And if things aren't going well, aren't going the way you want them, then it's about reframing it, having a look at it. Where is it at? And actually search for the learning. What can you learn from this? Just ask yourself some questions, and maybe just praise yourself for how far you have got with it. You know, how far you have managed to come. And just be with what is so, without making yourself wrong. And then acknowledge yourself for that and say, wow, I acknowledge myself for just being with this. It's not comfortable. I don't really like where I am in my life at the moment or what's happening. But I acknowledge myself for being present to it and for being willing to find a way of moving forward and sorting this out. And then just put up that prayer and say, okay, please, Lord, or universe, whoever it is that you work with, to show you the way. And then acknowledge yourself. I acknowledge myself for asking for support. I acknowledge myself for being willing to receive support. And in that moment, you never know what might come through. But it is reframing your perspective on it. And it's shifting your focus and stop worrying about what others might think, about where you should be. Because sometimes I know I do that. It's like, well, they think I should be further on. You know, especially with where I'm at with my business. It's like, I've been doing this all these years. And in my head, I hear other people saying, well, surely you should be further on than this. Why haven't you got clients? Why aren't you making all that money? You should be doing, you know, have success by now. And it's shifting that to actually celebrating my progress and keep going about, okay, this is me. I am somebody that takes time. I'm not someone that just quick. Sometimes I can be quick. Most of the time, it takes me time. So I acknowledge the progress that I have made, what I have succeeded with over all the years, and what I have been doing. And I am where I am. And I acknowledge that and I accept it. And, you know, it's focusing on being positive about where I am. So shift your focus where you think you should be and worrying where others think you should be, to just acknowledge. As I said, acknowledgement it's just as it's a statement of what is so right now. I am where I am, and I'm still living and breathing. I'm still waking up in the morning, you know. Yes, and I can still laugh and I can still cry and I can still move around, and I still have my own thoughts. I still the free will to think what I want. And then it would come back to, you have a choice of how you want to think. Because that is something someone cannot take away from you. Your choice. How you choose to think about something, about the situation that you're in. Only you can choose how you want to think about it and see it and feel it, experience it. It's up to you. So again, we come back to those same conversations, isn't it? It's your thoughts, it's your choice, you have a choice, and it's your mindset. And what, okay, I love this quote here. To be beautiful means to be yourself. You don't need to be accepted by others. You just need to accept yourself. And I think that's the key. It's accepting yourself. It's accepting how you work, how you show up, and knowing that there's always room for improvement. Doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you. It's just knowing that we've all got ways we can improve and grow. And that's what we do need to be doing, is growing. Because if you're not growing, then you're dying. Again, you have a choice. Which would you rather do? So which are you doing, Nomsa? Which are you choosing to do?
I love that when you say we do have a choice in life, and our thoughts and our mindset. I think having a choice in life and understanding that we have a choice to make better decisions and to take better actions is very, very important for us to achieve that self-awareness. And it's also called, it's an assessment. When you have that awareness that actually I have a choice to do this, I have a choice to love myself, I have a choice to be who I want to become. And like you were saying, that we don't have to actually wait for people to affirm who we are. There are so many people who actually gets like they want people to affirm who they are. And you know what? Just look at yourself. Ask yourself some questions. Find out your strength, your weaknesses, and your interest. What are you interested in? And just work around that. You can also use self-assessment to find out what you are good at and also where you can improve your life. And once you understand and have a good understanding of your strength and your weaknesses, then you can start actually developing your goals, strategies, and to achieve them, you can create a system to say, you know what, my life is not working, but I'm going to create this system to make it work, to make my life work. Work on your mindset. Choose the right choices. How you have a choice to choose the path you want to take. You have a choice to choose people you want to hang out with, and that is okay. So, but if you somebody that say, you know what, people are not good or what, you know what, for what I have noticed in life, we live in a very, very judgmental world. Some people don't have time to actually get to know the people. They just judge straight away. And if you just gonna let people judge you or affirm where you can go, what you can't do, what you can do, then you'll be disappointed because people always let you down. We are flesh. I always say to people, I can let somebody down unknowingly. But if you have a chance to let me know that Nomsa self-awareness, or if I just live in the present moment, and when I feel that I've let somebody down, I just evaluate my life and just see whether am I coming in a judgmental place with myself, or am I judging myself, or what is going on, or do I fear of losing that person? Or sometimes we fear losing friends, we fear losing members of our family, whether they're gonna love us enough. Like we succeed in life, we're building businesses. When that business, you want to succeed, when that success comes now, you feel like a flaw, like, am I good enough? Do I deserve this success? But guess what? You deserve it because you went all this way, working hard, phone calls, dealing with clients, difficult clients, And now you have this success, and the success, it turns out to be a mountain of, am I good enough? So I think you have to be aware that when you say, I'm going to do this, know that you made a decision and choice to take action. Just give yourself some gratitude every single day. Look at it. Tesco says every little helps. So why not use the Tesco slogan just to say, every little of me, we're going for my goals and succeeding, and day by day, and just acknowledging yourself and give yourself that credit of just working, getting up in the morning, having a shower. I've learned the hard way to actually acknowledge myself. I've learned the really hard way to actually, when my children come to me, I have to let them know that they are working hard at school. And I know if I tell them that they are working hard and I'm very proud of them, I know they're just gonna keep working hard. Even if it's like my oldest, even if she does get the results that she doesn't want to, I always say to her, you cannot get 100% all the time. So the time that you go and to school in the cold and arriving at school and learning, reward yourself for that. And when you do reward yourself for that, you'll be eager to actually do more and more in your life. But if you criticize yourself, you're shutting the room of improvement. So for me, it's like here at Ngozi Talk Shows, I work really hard to improve things that needs to be improved. And if somebody criticizes, I go to a place where I have to use that criticism to actually improve myself. I don't take it to heart. I know that I cannot be liked by everybody. And that would be abnormal, actually, if the whole world start liking them. So that would be really abnormal. Even Jesus himself, he was never liked by everybody else. So I have to be aware of that. If somebody doesn't like me, I'm good with that. But I love myself.
That's what's important.
Yeah.
Because it's not you they don't love.
Yeah.
That's the important distinction to remember. It's maybe where you're showing up is something they don't love. It's the way you talk, it's the behavior. It is not you. And that actually is only something down to themselves. It's just triggering something in themselves that they don't like. That's all it is. And when you can reframe it in that way, it then enables you to let go of feeling bad about it and thinking, oh, they don't like me. Well, that's not the truth. And you can then just be comfortable with yourself. And that is what is important, is liking yourself, being comfortable with yourself, and being able to acknowledge your strengths and your weaknesses. And also the fact that one of your strengths is that you grow from being able to be aware of what your weakness is. What was interesting this morning was that I've decided to, this book that was given to me for Christmas is 101 essays that would change the way you think, by Brianna Wiest. And I opened it this morning knowing that we were going to be talking about this topic today. And I have to laugh because I just love the way this all works. Because I opened it up at the page. The chapter heading was, you have to be kindest to yourself when it seems least deserved. And I thought, how apt is that? It really ties in with what we're talking about today. And one of the sentences here is, you have to stop believing that you need other people's permission to be okay with yourself.
You don't need other people's permission. We don't need other people's permission. Me, my family call me bonkers. From a very young age, my dad he actually taught me to actually live my life how I want. If I want to make a decision, I sit down, I pray to God because I know that God is the only person that can help me. I pray. And I sleep on it if it's a big decision. And after I sleep on it, I'll get somebody coach or somebody or a pastor. And mostly I have to choose my friend. And mostly the people that I choose is the people that believe in me and is the people that have proved that they are not just there to actually control me, they're there to guide me through life. So if you are there to guide me through life, because in life we are due to mess up sometimes. So I'm there, I ask my pastor, I want to make this decision. Could you please pray for me? I don't ask for an advice. Could you please pray for me so that God can guide me through, or whether this decision is going to take me to where I need to be or is going to cause destruction. So that's what I do. And when I come and tell my family, it means that I have already done it. And while they are busy telling me that the reason why, Nomsa, this is not good for you to do it, I'm like, I've passed that stage of doubting myself, because you have to go to a stage where you're doubting things. And when you go to a stage of doubting things, you tell fear that I'm not going to doubt myself, because life is it's a journey and I'm finding myself and I'm going to go for this. So and then I make a decision. So now when I tell my family, it means I'm telling my family. And when I came to the UK, actually, I bought a ticket. I didn't say goodbye to my workplace. I just didn't say goodbye to my family. I told my dad and my mom and my stepdad that I was coming here, but I didn't tell them when I was coming. And then I rang and then my mom started telling her family that I was coming to the UK. By the time the family were criticizing, I was already in the UK. And my stepdad goes, "What are you talking about? She's already in the UK." Yeah. But I knew I wasn't going to make it if I tell, because I was very young. So I've learned to actually just make the decisions and just go for it, because people will always scare me off. And I know that people will just come. If I say I'm doing this, people will be like, "No, sir, I don't think so. I don't think you can do this." But I know I can. I was talking to my university the other day, and I've been studying with them for 6 years, and I'm not getting anywhere with them. So I was like, okay, I need to change the university now. Maybe it's time that I need to change the university. And it's simply, for me, I'm studying to learn the skills. I know that I've studied psychology, but I'm studying to learn the skills so that I can have proper skills like skills of relationship. I always look at myself, what am I doing? This. And then I go and work on that one so I can have proper skills to actually plan. A good teacher, if you want to plan, speak to a teacher so I can plan my life and have a good vision. I don't study, go to college to go and work for somebody else. So I'm studying to actually, so I can have the skills to plan my vision and to plan my life. So I'm speaking to this university, I'm not getting anywhere. So I was like, you know what? I think it's time for Nomsa to move on. So I apply for another university. Then I go through with everything, send all my document. And my university now, they are like, why are you leaving this? And I'm like, I'm past that stage. I've grieved. Why are you all not listening to me? I've grieved. So you go to a stage, Carol, and where you are grieving with sadness, you want somebody to listen to you. but they're not listening. And then you go to a stage where you are like, maybe it's time for me to leave. And then God says, oh yeah, I think Nobsa, it's time for you to go somewhere else. And by the time somebody comes in and trying to convince you to say, no, I don't think you're making the right decision, I'm like, it is the right decision. I just gonna see how it goes. So I just had to ring the student thing and say, can you transfer everything to this university? So right now I'm just waiting for a reply to say, honestly, I don't have time for, actually, I'm aware that we are in this world where, you know, somebody gets in the office and they just follow the rules. For me, when my clients are complaining, first I have to take my shoes off, put their shoes in my shoes, and really try to understand where they are coming from. I'm aware of who I am, and I'm aware of my values, of my company beliefs. So then I have to understand, where does this person come from? And then even in my contract, it does state that before you can make a complaint about my company, make sure you request to speak to the owner of the company, so the owner of the company can decide the way forward. So you don't leave, or you don't complain without getting to me. Make sure you get to me first. Whoever you are dealing with, ask them to allow you to get to me so I can deal with the situation and make a decision. So that's what I do, is that self-awareness of why you set up the business, why you do the things that you do, why do you love the things that you love to do, I think is important. So I don't know with you, Carol Ann, and also while you are at it, can you tell our audience who you are and where they can find you? You can comment first. You're muted, Carol Ann.
Yeah, I'm waving around. There's someone at the door. There's a delivery.
Do you want to go and talk to the person? Then I'll continue talking.
It's fine. Someone's gone. It's all right. I wasn't sure.
Okay.
If there was someone else in the house.
I did fine. That. There was a delivery last week, and I said to Rachel, hold on. And then hold on to me like I'm going to go and open the door. And Rachel was sitting here not talking.
Oh, no. That's okay. At least I can actually point to the person and go and just wave and say it's okay.
Yeah.
She just left it, but somebody has opened the door and got it, so it's fine. So where am I at? So it's about, I'm in the UK, aren't I? I'm here. It's afternoon in the UK. And as the writing facilitator, what I do is support women in becoming more productive with their writing. But more importantly, what they experience is free-flowing writing. They experience an unlocking of the writer within. They also experience a getting to know themselves, experience having more self-awareness, a healing of things that have been holding them back. So there's much more to the writing than just writing. So there's a lot of self-awareness, self-development that comes into this as well. And this is through my own journey of unlocking the writer within. And so I can be found on Facebook, Carol Ann Cooper, on LinkedIn, and I have a group which is called Get Your Book Written. So please do look me up. And if you're feeling a bit stuck with your life, you're stuck with your writing, stuck with things, or not quite happy in yourself, or you don't know how to acknowledge yourself, we can actually work on that through writing. And there's the magic of writing, of unlocking that writer within, actually helps you to move through these blocks and find yourself. So do get in touch and let's explore, because I love to play. I love to play. I love playing with metaphors.
Play the game of life.
The game of life. And playing around with metaphors, with what's showing up. And it's about listening to your language. What are you saying about where you are? And being able to hear, is it those negative self-talk, because it's about removing those self-talk words from your vocabulary. Being able to hear them, remove them, and replace them with actually examples of success behaviors, things that you know to be true. And then stop talking negatively about yourself to others, and actually maybe give someone permission to pull you up on that. When they hear you putting yourself down and talking negatively about yourself, give them permission to say, hang on a second, no, that's not allowed anymore. How can you rephrase that? And you know, begin to put a voice to your success, no matter how small it is, because small successes lead to bigger ones over time. So it's taking charge. It's making that decision that you want to do things differently and choosing to do that as well. So yeah, I'd like to leave people with an African proverb that says, when there is no enemy within, the enemies outside cannot hurt you. Love that.
I love that. I love that, Carol Ann, and also I love when you say putting a voice in your success. I think is very, very, very important, because everything we do in life, it has a voice. And if we don't put a voice, that's why I always say to people, when you have a degree and you're looking for work, there are some people, they go and study at university for 3 years or 6 years, and they end up not using their qualifications. Because sometimes when we study, we get graduated, we take pictures, put them on social media for everybody else to see them. And then we take the certificate, we put it in a suitcase, it goes in a folder. We go and buy a special folder to put the suitcase, so we frame it. We never look at it. We never speak to it. But that certificate, it has a voice. That identity, the day you were born, it has a voice. Your date of birth, it has a voice. Do you ever speak to your date of birth, acknowledging it? You got to. Your passport, it has a voice. The day you created your business, it has a voice. It needs self-awareness. It needs to be aware, somebody to be aware of it. That's why if you look at everything, when you speak to the companies, like let's say I don't want to apply for a loan, they want to know when was the business created and registered. What is the registration of your business? What's the company house? What's the number, the registration number? Because all those things have a voice. Facebook group, Carol Ann just said she has a Facebook group, has a voice. Before anyone can acknowledge your post, self-awareness comes in. Just go and like your post. If anybody else doesn't like it, it doesn't matter. Just go and like it. Because you matter. You have a voice with your destiny when it comes to your destiny. So that's why, for me, I want to live with what Carol Ann, just adding to what Carol Ann has said, that you as a human being, you have a voice. The things that you achieve each day, no matter how small they are, no matter how big they are, you have to acknowledge it. Don't ask for more if you have not acknowledged that thing, that small thing. If you believe in winning the lottery, believe in this £5 that you have before you can get big, because that means when you get the bigger money, you're not going to know what to do with it. You're just going to buy 100 cars. And because you're not aware of the beauty of being a millionaire, or the beauty of being a billionaire, or the beauty of having like maybe £1,000 or £1. So you have to have that awareness so that when you do win whatever you win, then you have awareness of going to invest, not buying nice cars for the girls or boys to look at you. It doesn't work. So we are here at Ngozi Talk Shows Monday to Friday, 1 p.m. UK time. And please follow us on our social media and follow us. We are on Twitter. We are not on Instagram. Ngozi Talk Show is not on Instagram or what do you call it? TikTok. We're not on TikTok, but we are on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube channel, and subscribe to our channel. Be part of our family. You know, it's really, really nice to have this family. One day when we succeed, we're just going to be making sure you're looked after. You see what Kadon does? Kadon gives out money. So I'm in a process where I'm like, God, bless me so I'll be able to bless my YouTube family. So if you become part of us, and who knows, you will find your own voice with us. You just walk along this path. That is, it's a beautiful path. And also like us on LinkedIn, on Twitter as well. We are on Twitter as well. And if you do really struggle with self-awareness, you can get in touch with me and speak to one of the coaches. We have different coaches at Ngozi Talk Shows. But if you believe that there's a coach that you actually resonate with, I'll connect you with that coach. Don't just sit there and complaining. Even if you need like 30 minutes talk, like chat, just get in touch with our coaches. And if you're looking for love, love is what I harmonize. So you can get in touch with me. And if you are thinking of becoming a writer, Carol Ann, she's a writing facilitator, as she said. You can have a chat with her, find out what she does and how she can help you to achieve those goals of becoming a writer. Who knows? You could write a book that can become #1. You know, remember, you have a choice in life. So God bless everyone. God bless. Have a beautiful weekend.